You know, everyone, just wanted to jump in here and do a little bit of the off the cuff little chat around Origin, my predictions around it, and mainly it's going to be about potential of guys backing up, what kind of minutes they're going to be playing in this game here. Obviously, I'm doing this video before team lists tonight, so the majority of guys get named in team lists, but then it's just going to be if how they react to the Origin arena, how many minutes they play, do they pick up a little niggle, etc., etc. So it's going to try and help a few people out in terms of thinking about their trades and maybe some of the guys that get named and then end up backing out last minute and go from there. So in terms of outside backs for the Blues, we'll start with. So we have Teddy there, and he's actually someone that's during this part of the year tends to miss the odd game here and there. If he has really, really big ones for New South Wales, they usually they have the cover in Joey Manu, for example, at one. So and they're usually a team in the top 4, top 6, and they're not really pushing too hard at this point. They're trying to peak for the back end of the year, and you obviously want Teddy fit and firing at that point. So he's someone that I think that is a decent chance of not backing up, just for the role that he has, obviously being captain of the Blues. It's a big setup for him, a lot of mental energy as well as the physical. So I think with Teddy, it's one of those ones where he's a decent chance of missing this game. And if you look at the wingers, for example, majority of time they would back up. Obviously, they do a fair bit of work coming out of trouble and finishing plays, but the physicality isn't there as much as some of the middle forwards and the halves and stuff. Having their hands on the ball a lot more than these types of guys. Same with the centers. Like every chance that they'll be backing up, for example, that 2 to 5, and I would expect a similar kind of thing on the Maroon side of thing. If we're looking at, I'm going to talk a little bit about Draftstars as well, but we'll just go through all these guys as well. I'll be playing the Draftstars one. I just wanted to open up to everyone else. Obviously a little bit different, and it's a 40,000 guaranteed as well. In terms of Luai and Cleary, if we're majority of us are thinking about Cleary backing up, and they do play on Sunday, which is very helpful. So if we scroll across there, the Panthers play the Knights on Sunday afternoon. The main issue here is that they're up against the Knights, and they could probably, to be honest, get away with not playing those guys, and that's obviously good news for someone, for someone like Kurt Falls, who could get another opportunity with Sean O'Sullivan if those two guys don't back up. If it's a very physical type of game, they might not back up there. And with Tedesco potentially playing on Saturday afternoon, the only thing that gives him a good chance of playing, I think, is that they're up against the Storm, which is a pretty important game for them, and it just depends, I think, as well on if the Storm guys are going to back up as well. So that's a very interesting start there with those types of players. If we move to down the line, Payne Haas is going to be someone who's going to play some good minutes there, and with the Broncos playing on Saturday, it gives them a few days rest. Obviously, the extra one that the Cowboys don't get, for example, but he's someone that usually does back up. Being a middle forward, he has a nice tank on him in terms of being able to back up, play big minutes. He's someone that has played a heap of 80-minute games, so he obviously won't be playing 80 here. I'm expecting a 50 to 60 kind of minute game for Payne. Just with the makeup of their bench, for example, they do have a lot of middle forwards, and Cook's someone that's probably going to play the 80 minutes, so it's interesting to see if he will back up. But they do play a little bit later in the week as well. If I miss where the Rabbitohs are there. Where are they? So so Saturday there, he's obviously got a couple days rest, but he might just come out and play 50-60 minutes for the Bunnies, for example, is something to think about there. In terms of, I was talking about the middle forwards, we have a bunch on the bench there. We've got Liam Martin, Campbell Gillard, and Madison. So if we're looking at their forwards, I think Tarek Sims probably plays a few less minutes. I think around that 55 to 60 for Tarek. You'd imagine Murray playing a pretty big game there. Junior Ballor there with probably 40 to 45 minutes, I'd say, for him. Really shorter stints, because they have those big, motor guys in Payne Haas, Murray, Isaiah Yeo will play some big minutes, for example. And you've got Martin, Campbell Gillard, and also Ryan Madison, who can all play that that big minute role if needed. So I'm assuming that they'll use them as more punchy players, given they've got a lot of edge, here with Ryan, with Regan and Martin, so real guys that can have a good punch and really help them out. So they obviously steered away from guys like Trebojevic this year, and you can understand why with the type of outfit they've gone for there. So in terms of all these bench guys, I wouldn't be worried about Madison backing up. I think he'll be fine. Unless there's some injuries to certain guys, then all these guys should be backing up. Cam Murray, potentially not, just depending on how big his minutes are, and he's coming off an injury as well. So I'd be cautious with him if you're looking to pick him up in round 14, for example. But if you have Isaiah, similar thing for him. He should be playing big minutes. So again, be cautious on a late mail for Isaiah and Cook as well. Payne Haas should be okay. We'll see how we go. In terms of the Maroons there, we've got, Ponga in terms of backing up should be fine. We really don't have any of these outside backs unless you picked up a Cobbo, and it'll be interesting to see if they decide to back him up. I'm thinking if he plays a big game, runs for 150, 200 meters, they might just rest him, given he's so young there for their team. DCE is someone that usually backs up, just be aware of that. Munster hit and miss in terms of if he's playing or not, so it depends how big of an impact he makes on this game as to if he's going to back up or not. I think Tino will. I think he'll play just for the fact that he's a skipper of the Titans, and minutes in this game probably around that 50 mark. And how beautiful is that mane at the back there? Benny Hunt, they play 2 days later. So again, depends how many minutes he's playing. I think he should be getting 50 to 60. He's been a real dominant player for them over the last few years. So if he can get through 50 minutes in the middle, I think he'll back up. The Dragons need him. But how he's playing as a halfback at the moment, scoring-wise in fantasy, hasn't been too incredible. For example, Papali'i, Cabewell, Kafusi, Cotter. So in terms of this one here, we only have the two real middles on the bench here. And I think that Lindsay and Pat Carrigan are probably going to get that 40 to 50 minutes. And I think that will be similar. Probably Big Tino there about 50-ish. I'm expecting Papali'i around the 45 to 50. Capewell and Kafusi pretty close to 80-minute guys there. Maybe one of them pops off at the end if they need an extra try. They might go to Jeremiah Nanai just to get his aerial prowess out there. I think would be the only reason that he would play. I'm expecting pretty limited minutes from him. And Harry will be 50 to 60 through the middle. So it'll be interesting to see how they use their middle forwards and how they use Ben Hunt, if he gets really big minutes or he kind of splits time with Harry. I'm expecting some decent minutes from Cotter, maybe a 55-ish from him. And his ability to back up 2 days later will be interesting as well. So very similar to Hunt in terms of we're not exactly sure how this game's going to go for them. And will they be able to back up, for example. So that's when it's moved to Draftstars. So it's a 40,000 guarantee, guys, $15 entry. You can have multiple entries up to 100, which is pretty crazy. But we move into the outside backs, and in terms of salary cap, it's very, very crazy here. We've got Tedesco at 20,000, and the next one's at Whiten at 13.6. So I wouldn't be going anywhere near White, and I think we can get better value in other positions like Cleary and stuff with Tedesco. So personally, I'd be going a little bit lighter in the outside backs, and I think guys like Kalen Ponga at 10,100 is really, really cheap in a game where I feel like he's, this is where he's played some awesome games, and I'm expecting a pretty close one here. A 14 to 12 or an 18-16 type of scoreline. I'm expecting. I'm going to tip the Blues being at home. Obviously missing their two real strike players, but just having Cleary, the best player in the game right now, to go along with Teddy, the best fullback. I think that, and then you can mix and match your 6s and 9s there. 13, we've got the two best 13s, I say, in Isaiah Yeo and also Murray. So there's plenty of still amazing players in the Blues team. Just being at home, I think, is going to get them over the line. So that's my selection there. But in terms of outside backs, Dane Gagai is always one to play really well, and also Kalen Ponga. If you're worried about picking two outside backs in the Queensland side, and you wanted to go for some Blues guys, then Brian To'o's a great chance of having a great game, and I think Tupou will be pretty solid as well, just playing his normal role that he does for the Roosters, for example. If you look at the halves and the hookers, obviously there's 6 guys that you can really select here: Cleary, Munster, Cook, DCE, Hunt, and also Harry Grant. So with Harry there, that 50 to 60 minutes, I think you can use him in this halves hooker or the flex at 13.6. I would personally be probably using him in the flex position there. Halves and hookers, I just think that Cleary is your clear man to pick there. And Ben Hunt's always been someone who's really dominant through the middle there. Attacking stats, the defensive workload, plenty going on for him there. I'd be going Cleary, Hunt, or Harry are my 3, but we've seen what Munster can do. We see what DC can do. There's all of those guys you could select for sure. And then the forwards, someone I think is going to be playing some great minutes on the edge is Cam Murray. So I think you have to select him. Payne Haas is obviously going to be a great selection as well, given some big minutes. Ruben Cotter, the most expensive one, some 55 minutes I'd say for him. So you'll be looking to score around the 50 mark for that 17,000, which is pretty fair to be honest. And my probably first pick in this game at a cheaper price is going to be Isaiah Yeo. So I think at 14,360, he'll be playing some big minutes and could be a guy that scores you that 50 plus, whether he gets involved in attack or not. We're not exactly sure at this point, but definitely one to go for there. At some cheaper prices, I'm not sure how Pat Carrigan's going to go. It's going to be a bit of a flip of the coin to see if he's going to get big minutes or not. I think he deserves probably around the 40 mark, and is that enough at 10,900? Potentially, with a nice PPM, he could do that for you. And then it's just making a guess on if you're going really cheap and you need someone there. I think Lindsay Collins should get some decent minutes through the middle, that 40 to 50 mark for him as well. Capewell could get lucky with the try as well. He's obviously usually steps up for Queensland as well. We've got Tino, who could play some decent minutes. So there's a few question marks in the forwards, obviously. But that's where you win or lose these games. So that's kind of my general thoughts. I think Murray, I think Isaiah Yeo, and I think Payne Haas are probably your clearer options there, and then you can play around that. But yeah, I hope that helps you out, guys, in terms of thinking about potential guys they're going to back up, who's going to be missing this week. We've obviously got team lists in a couple of hours as well to be able to help determine that. There'll be teams that just go, nah, we're just completely leaving all of these guys out. So it's going to be a fun one. So jump in at 4:00 there, and we'll dive into those team lists and go from there, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.